It appears Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are keeping close tabs on social media discussions. A recent Instagram post highlighted serious legal inconsistencies involving their connection to a company named Vanzan Inc. This entity was used in a lawsuit, Vanzan Inc. versus Does 1 to 10, filed in New York, which aimed to gain access to Jen Abel's private phone data. What's shocking is that when this case was filed, Vanzan was not even in good standing with the state. Legally, this raises massive questions about its ability to enter contracts or seek relief in court. The company hadn't filed its mandatory biennial statements since its inception in 2019. There were no officers, directors, or shareholders listed, only a registered agent. Neither Ryan Reynolds nor Blake Lively's names appeared on any documentation. Yet suddenly, after this discrepancy was publicly exposed, a biennial statement was filed. For the first time ever, Ryan Reynolds was named as Vanzan's chief executive officer. Blake Lively's name was still absent, and there were no women on the board of directors. This timing is suspicious. It happened after allegations surfaced suggesting Blake used Vanzan to obtain data from Jen Abel's phone, circumventing proper legal discovery processes. Abel's legal team alleges that Blake, along with her counsel, orchestrated a sham lawsuit using Vanzan purely to access private messages and files. In court, Blake's lawyer openly admitted the Vanzan lawsuit was solely an investigative tool, used before initiating her own claims against Justin Baldoni and Wayfair Studios. The legal team for Abel subpoenaed Vanzan to determine whether Blake or Ryan controls it. With Ryan now on record as CEO, it seems there's an attempt to rewrite history, shifting legal liability from Blake to Ryan. That way, Blake can potentially avoid consequences by asserting that Ryan, a non-party, was behind the Vanzan scheme. This revisionist approach becomes critical in court arguments. The legal team defending Blake now asserts that because Vanzan is Ryan's company, not hers, it shouldn't have to turn over documents. Yet it's been revealed that Blake previously admitted to using documents obtained via Vanzan. This contradiction directly supports Abel's argument. Vanzan was used to launder stolen private data and disguise it with a legal veneer. A core point of contention is request number 9 in the subpoena: communications between Blake, Jones Works, a PR firm, and Vanzan. Despite objections, the court is being urged to compel Vanzan to hand over these documents. They could prove that the so-called sham lawsuit was nothing more than a ploy to disguise the theft of Abel's personal data. Abel's legal team highlights that if Ryan acted on behalf of Vanzan as CEO, then his communications are not protected by spousal privilege. This protection only applies when a husband acts in a personal capacity, not as an executive of a company involved in legal actions. If Ryan sent or received any relevant documents, he could be compelled to testify, making it clear that he and Blake operated as one unit in orchestrating this action. There's growing consensus among legal observers that this move to suddenly name Ryan as CEO of Vanzan is nothing more than a cleanup attempt, revisionist history to hide Blake's involvement. But it may backfire. Since the lawsuit was filed when Vanzan wasn't in legal standing, they may not have had the right to sue or even subpoena data. No name was attached to Vanzan when the original lawsuit was filed. That makes Ryan's recent filing irrelevant to what the court will assess. More troubling is the implication that the data subpoenaed by Vanzan ended up in Blake's possession and possibly even got leaked to the New York Times. That shifts the narrative, suggesting Ryan may have been the instigator of this feud, with Blake merely acting as his shield. It undermines their defense that Ryan was just a concerned spouse. Legal experts argue this is further proof that Ryan acted as Blake's agent in this matter. Despite previous court rulings dismissing the claims against him with prejudice, this new evidence could justify an appeal. The judge who dismissed Ryan from the case stated that no amount of evidence could ever show Ryan was acting in any capacity other than a husband. That assumption now looks flawed. At the heart of the issue is the alleged misuse of Vanzan's legal authority to extract personal data under false pretenses. Had the Vanzan lawsuit been legitimate, it would have included Baldoni or Wayfair as defendants. Yet it didn't. That omission strongly implies the lawsuit was never meant to resolve a legal dispute. Instead, it acted as a smokescreen to conceal the theft and unlawful transfer of Abel's data. The use of spousal privilege is another critical legal tactic. Ryan and Blake appear to be coordinating their defenses, sometimes blurring the lines between personal and professional. But legal protections for spouses don't. Extend to business executives. If Ryan was acting as CEO of Vanzan, sharing confidential company-related discovery with Blake could invalidate any claim of privilege. Experts further believe that this entire maneuver may be an attempt to limit the scope of discovery and keep Blake's case against Baldoni alive. It's seen as a game of legal hide-and-seek, burying documents, shifting ownership titles, and making discovery as difficult as possible. However, amending company records now doesn't erase the fact that Vanzan was out of legal compliance when it launched the lawsuit. This could reopen the door for Wayfair and Baldoni to challenge the initial dismissal of their case, with new proof suggesting Ryan wasn't just a bystander, but a proactive participant in this orchestrated takedown. The argument for malice becomes much stronger. It could even lead to claims of abuse of legal process, since the subpoena may have been used to gain unfair access to private materials before a lawsuit was officially underway. To many, this entire situation makes Ryan look far more involved than he's let on. It's as though he acted as the puppet master, directing moves through Vanzan and passing materials to Blake while maintaining a safe distance on paper. If this interpretation holds, then Ryan isn't merely guilty by association. He may be central to the orchestration of the so-called Sham lawsuit. Some legal analysts believe Ryan assumed he couldn't be touched after being dismissed with prejudice. But this recent filing and Blake's open admission that the Vanzan suit was pretextual could open new legal fronts. The judge who previously ruled there was no proof Vanzan was used to obtain stolen data may now find that judgment challenged. If Wayfair or Baldoni appeal based on this new information, they could argue that discovery was prematurely cut off and that Ryan and Blake coordinated the use of Vanzan as a strategic tool. They may even argue that Ryan's direct involvement, now confirmed by his CEO filing, voids much of the defense's previous claims. In conclusion, the sudden emergence of Ryan Reynolds as CEO of Vanzan, combined with Blake Lively's legal admissions, has shifted the entire legal narrative. It's no longer a clean-cut case of a protective husband. It's now a potentially coordinated operation involving shell companies, spousal privilege loopholes, and pretextual subpoenas. Legal experts believe this could prompt serious reconsideration of past rulings, particularly around the sham nature of the lawsuit and misuse of court process. Don't miss the next headline. Like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell.